high in foods, we have what we call nutrients of critical concern that were set by the WHO. Salt, fat, and sugar.
Okay.
Should anyone consume these products in excess of what is needed by the body, of excess of the dietary recommended intake per day, this person is bound to get non-communicable diseases. So when we have the NPM, we have very many products on the market.
Okay. Yes.
That have high fat and we are consuming them. We have products that have high sugar and we are consuming them knowingly or unknowingly. We have products that high in salt that we consume knowingly, unknowingly, and these are the highest factors for these non-communicable diseases I talked about.
But you find most of them are permitted by UNBS.
Now that's another problem where us as the country we have a lot of trust in the UNBS. But of recent, Daily Monitor published that the UNBS, I'll quote Daily Monitor, the UNBS doesn't have the capacity to detect products that are cancer-causing, that have elements that are cancer-causing. So we may have the trust, but now Daily Monitor has come out to say that UNBS doesn't have what? The capacity. And mind you, the chew marks are paid for. So if I pay for a chew mark, you have to give it to me.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but also UNBS will not have proper enforcement of these standards if there's no a policy, there's no tool, there's no legal framework within which it enforces this. If you look at the current standards that the UNBS is trying to enforce, they are just stating they may. The food industry may. But the NPM, if it is mandatory, informing policies like front of the pack and informing marketing restrictions, in front shall talk about how children are the most affected. Informing other policies, then the UNBS, the country will have made the work for the NBS very easy to see that these standards are enforced.
Okay.
Yes.
Can we look at the current? So what is the current legal and regulatory framework we have? Do we don't have anything, or we have something?
Yes, we do. If I look at the food and nutrition policy of 2003, you can imagine 21 years later, and people have now termed it as the old food and nutrition policy. Of course, they're developing one, but like I said, globally and from recommendations from WHO, to have food and nutrition policies that will curb the rising burden of medicines. Let me just give you a hint before we go to the legal and regulatory frameworks. 35%, Ministry of Health of Recent made a survey, household survey, and 35% of the deaths in this country are due to NCDs, non-communicable diseases, cancers, obesity, overweight, hypertension. So you know what we're talking about now. And 20% of Ugandans, there's a 20% chance of Ugandans dying from NCDs every day.
Every day.
So that is one in 5 Ugandans die from NCDs every day.
Wow.
So that's what we're talking about. So there's the old food and nutrition policy. And the old food and nutrition policy has sections that talks about creating awareness, prevention, and all those ones to curb NCDs, tell people not to eat this. But you're telling people not to eat this, but now the person who's selling the food is not restricted. He has not put a warning label. He has not put what we have are nutritional claims, which are not even easily understood. Have you looked at the back of a product? There are nutritional claims that you do not even understand. So the old food and nutrition policy, of course, they're drafting one, but now we want the new one that is being drafted to anchor in the NPM, the nutrient profiling model. Now the nutrient profiling model will have other policies, like will lead to formulation of other policies, like front of the pack warning labeling. When we talk about front of the pack warning labeling, what do we mean? If you have a product that is high in these nutrients of critical concern, salt, sugar, and fat, as a food manufacturer, you should label it on front of the pack and say, high in sugar, high in salt, high in fat, for the consumer to know. As that, the consumers will make informed choices, informed decisions on what to consume, and that will be leading to a healthy
So it is the role of the producer to
it is
create
the role
awareness.
of the producer, yes, to label on front of the pack, not hidden, not in Latin, not in any other language,
Yeah.
high in sugar, for every Ugandan to know. Then we have the NPM will, because I'm now saying the food and nutrition policy should have the NPM.
Oh, yes.
Now the NPM will lead formulation of these frameworks I'm talking about, regulatory policies or complementary policies that we are talking about. It will also inform marketing restrictions to children. You see, children are the most vulnerable people in this country and the world. You go to the canteens at schools, there are a lot of products that are there, and you have no control as a parent. You have sent them to school. You have even given them money to make their own choices on what food to consume. So they are going to buy without your knowledge.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
So there should be regulatory frameworks on restriction of marketing of these unhealthy foods to children. And also, understand that children have pester power. If a child asks, you must give.
You must provide.
So unless the children are protected from the food industry, from these food processors, the children are going to continue dying at a young age. And the non-communicable diseases are diseases that build over time. So by the time a child reaches 20, 35 in their youthful ages, they are battling these diseases and they're dying. Of course, the country is also, we do not have a consumer protection bill. We do not have a consumer protection law.
Wow.
One that wants to resemble the consumer protection law is the competition bill. But I do not want to go into that.
Okay.
Are the consumers of this country safe? Are the consumers of this country, are the citizens of this country protected if we don't have a consumer protection bill?
Okay.
So it is in process, but the consumer protection bill should clearly indicate to the food industry, to the food processors, their due diligence to label products, to label food products that are unhealthy.
Okay.
It is the government's obligation, actually, to protect us. Look, you and me and the people outside there in Uganda, we have our rights. So we become rights holders. The government has a duty to protect us. So they are the duty bearers. The government must come up with now a comprehensive food and nutrition policy that anchors the NPM, front of the pack, marketing restrictions of unhealthy diets to children, a comprehensive consumer protection bill that will protect me, you, and the citizens outside there in Uganda, in the local communities, in Adjumani, in Vudaka, in Mbale, in Mbarara, in Mitoma, in Kabale, from the food industry. You get?
Okay.
So currently, if you look at the legal framework, it is missing. WHO, when it was talking about their nutrient profiling model, when they developed it, they conducted studies in Uganda and tested it in Uganda. And this is not science.
Okay.
It is a policy recommended by WHO. Pilot study was done in Uganda. Its effectiveness was done in Uganda. And we don't have it yet. People are continuing to die. Yesterday they died. Today they will die. The other day they died. Even in the future, if we do not have it. Countries that have adopted the nutrient profiling model, front of the pack warning, labeling, marketing restrictions from the NPM in Latin America have had reduced consumption of these unhealthy diets. We are not against the food industry, but the food industry must let the consumer know what they are consuming, what is in these foods. So you even find other products that don't have expiry dates. You have products that do not even have any label. At least you can lie to me and tell me there's zinc of 10%, which you may not even know, 10 milligrams, 10 millimeters. But put these things in a language, through a warning, in a language that people understand, through A warning
Warning.
label.
Okay.
Yes.
There are some people who just consume things through adverts. Some advert is so nice, and someone goes ahead and buy that. What message do you have to the Ugandans? Now, we've talked about the legal part of it, the government bit of it, and the producers. How about we, the consumers? What are we supposed to do?
First, you see, when we're talking about nutrition issues, we do not tell people to stop. One, as Ugandans, let us, because we do not have yet the nutrient profiling model, we do not have yet the legal and regulatory framework that now bars the food industry from marketing these unhealthy diets to children, and also that ensures that they have food labels, food warning labels on the front of the pack. As Ugandans, let us limit the intake of foods or ultra-processed foods high in fat, ultra-processed foods high in sugar, and those that are high in salt. Let us also minimize adding salt to our food, but then also let us call out government. It is like I said, it's the government's obligation to protect me and you and my mother down there in the village.
Okay.
You get? Let us call out government. Let us call out the Ministry of Health. It is in charge of passing or adopting this model. This is government's obligation to pass policies or regulations that protect the interests of us, the citizens, because they have the mandate. So let us call out government as citizens to tackle this issue of the non-communicable diseases through passing or adopting these regulatory frameworks that have worked, that are recommended by WHO, our development partners for this country. As citizens, you know the cost of treating diabetes. You know the cost of treating hypertension. You know the cost of treating cancer. That will bite us hard and even harder if we do not change our eating patterns, our dietary habits, as citizens of this country.
Okay. Can we draw a comparison between our legal framework, the one we have currently, the old nutrition something,
Food
and
nutrition
then and then to the international standards? Where are we, if you can draw a comparison between them, the two?
You see, the world is changing every day. If by now, as a country, we have a food and nutrition policy of 2003, we have a Food and Drugs Act of 1957.
Wow.
And the trends have changed. We do not have a consumer protection bill, and the trends have changed. Globally, they have adopted policies, food and nutrition policies, like I've told you. Several countries have adopted food and nutrition policies that are aimed at curbing the NCDs. And what I can say about that is we are lacking. Just imagine we are riding on a 2003 food and nutrition policy. That by then, you will bear with me, by then, the number of ultra-processed foods on the market was very little or very minimal. People consumed the local food. People consumed food from their gardens. People consumed food that is homegrown. Now, with increased industrialization and urbanization, people are consuming these foods. So, if there's increased urbanization, increased consumption of these unhealthy diets, the food and nutrition policies should move from 2003 model or the 2003 mode to, I'll not say Gen Z mode, but to a mode that goes with the trends. In 2003, the NCD burden was quite slow, quite little, quite small to this country. But now, it is increasing exponentially. So, to the global level, we are lacking. We need to adopt these evidence-based policies I've told you about, the nutrient profiling model, to see that the citizens of this country are protected. The countries in Latin America that have adopted these policies, Kenya has advanced theirs, South Africa is also advancing theirs, and the countries that have adopted this nutrient profiling model are doing well. The consumption of ultra-processed foods high in those nutrients of critical concern has reduced, but then also they are seeing a reduction in the number of recorded NCDs in their countries.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's also look at. Do you think there has been no priority given to such, majorly the legal framework of nutrition or of diet?
As a country?
Yes, as a country.
I think yes. Because if the WHO says, here's the nutrient profiling model, we love Uganda so much as WHO. Let us even pilot test it here, and it will work. It is now becoming a deliberate effort by government not to adopt it. Why? This isn't against the food industry. No. This is now for the what is our population? 45 million now.
Yeah.
This is for the 45 million Ugandans out there. You get? Yes.
Oh, wow. Interesting. And what efforts have been put maybe to go back to the organic foods and aside of what is being processed every single day?
And now, when we have what we call agroecology. We also promote safe food through agroecology. Now,
because why I'm saying that, I'm looking at the minimal people who would concentrate on looking at the products, what they are, but they can switch their minds to eating these homegrown foods.
Yes. So we have what we call agroecology and organic farming. People, first of all, should at least have, even those ones in the urban areas, have a backyard garden to see that they grow food that they can consume. But you cannot grow everything.
Oh, yes.
If I have a 50 by 100 plot and I've built their house, I'm left with minimal land. I have to go to the market.
Sure.
Now, when you go to the market, when you talk about even the organic foods now, people are using chemicals.
Oh.
Now, the chemicals are also now killing us.
Oh, yeah.
There's no regulation on that. You know, the chemicals they're using on these foods are chemicals that have been banned in Europe, that have been banned elsewhere in the world, but they continue being used here in Uganda. But when we go now back to the traditional farming, we go back to now people have termed it, science has termed it as agroecology, but that was our traditional gardening, where you grow food without spraying. You grow your own food at home in your backyard garden. You are sure of the safety of the food. You are sure of the cleanliness of the food. You are sure of what you're consuming. You get? Yeah. So, as the citizens of this country, we should now fall back. You see, there's always a chance to go back. There's where we erred as a country during the Industrial Revolution, where we brought in these genetically modified organisms, we brought in all these chemicals for industrial agriculture, we brought in all these processed foods. We are now saying, let us go back. Before then, what was the population? People had families of 12, 15, but they fed.
They fed very well.
They never had hunger issues. They never had malnutrition issues. Now we have a family of 2 and it is malnourished. And they say, you see, food production is going high, yes, we can produce, but we are producing very unsafe food as a population. We are 45 million today. 10 years again, when the census is conducted, we shall be 35, I'm telling you. And we shall not be dying because of accidents, we shall be dying because of the food. Just imagine, if you have 10,000, 5,400 goes to food. So you have how much left? 4,600 that is going to do other things. So your money that you have worked hard for to get is now going to kill you. You get?
Oh, wow. That is quite interesting. Yes, we are still going on with this conversation. By the way, these days we even eat hens that are 1 month old, and it is very okay. So we shall be discussing much of that just after the break. We're going in for a very short break and then return with more.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives. Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
Oh yes, comfort and luxury at its best. That is, of course, Protea Hotel by Marriott in Entebbe. Today we are discussing something very important that you should really pay attention to, and that is the legal and regulatory framework of healthy diets here in the country. Now, during the discussion here with Mr. Wambona Martin from CEFROHT, we were discussing some things, but now my mind is twisted to the question we had started with. How much food is a healthy person supposed to consume? I understand it is supposed to be put in the regulatory framework, but currently I don't think we have that. But as an expert, as people who deal in this, how much food is one supposed to consume? Not eating much, not eating less.
Yes, thank you. Look, it's not about how much a person should eat. It's not about the quantity. It's about the quality of food these people eat.
Hey.
When you talk about even the right to food, the right to food encompasses one, safety. Food must be safe. It must be of quality. It must be of quantity. It must be accessible. It must be available. So it's not about the quantity, but the quality of food a person consumes.
Okay.
Yes.
I know someone who wants matoke every single day. Is it okay?
That is very fine.
Very
That
good.
is very fine.
So
The problem is, the problem is now we have people who take soda. You take 3 bottles of soda a day.
In a day.
They eat because if you look at it is recommended that you take 9 teaspoons of sugar a day.
A day.
Tea, not tablespoons. So we have a difference. There's a big difference between a tablespoon and a teaspoon.
And a teaspoon. Okay.
Yes, and you find that some of these beverages, I'll not quote, some of these beverages have up to 20 spoons of sugar
In a single
added
bottle.
yeah, and
Wow.
not even the refined sugar that you put in your tea. Something that is more or less sugar. So
How about those who take energy drinks? Someone takes like 3 bottles of an energy drink in a single day.
you see, if you look at the sugar content in an energy drink, I don't take those sweetened beverages, but I want to think there is a lot of sugar there because people say energy drinks give you energy, so they must have added sugar there, and to give you that energy. And some people claim that there's caffeine. I don't know. That is just per se because they say it keeps you awake. So it's something like caffeine will keep you awake. But I'll talk about the sugar. That means if you want energy, they put for you the sugar to get that energy. Yeah. So there's a lot of sugar there. That's my thinking. I've not tasted, but people say it tastes so sweet. Yeah. So I want to believe they put a lot of sugar there.
Now, before we go back to the regulatory framework, how about the chemicals? We are eating, just like I was concluding, these things of having a hen raised within 1 month and it is already on market. We know what they do put in that. Are those healthy meals someone should consume? Like chicken, those things. You find a pig is growing within a few months, it is very huge and already on market.
Now, you see, we have a problem as a country. We may know, we may not know. It takes quite a time to have a chicken fully raised
Yes.
and ready to eat. You just look at I have some agriculture background. You don't know how much antibiotics the broilers or the layers take in to survive. From day one to the day you eat, a lot of antibiotics taken in there. Some have been banned elsewhere, and we are using them here. Anything, even the Bible says it, anything that is against nature is bad. Bad. So we tend to eat because of our lifestyles. If I choose to take you out, you're like, okay, this is okay. taking me out, going to an expensive place. But what is there is poison. It is death that we are bringing to ourselves. It is something we may not realize now, but over time, you start eating these foods as early as 10. You get out of university at 23, you start making your money. By 35, the money you have worked hard so much to get, you are now spending it in hospital. You are leaving a young family, you are leaving your small assets, you are even selling them off to treat yourself. And you see? Yeah.
Okay. So what role does government play in regulating food production in the country here?
Yes, it has all the mandate. One, first of all, it has the mandate to protect its citizens. One, from false advertisement. If I claim that my food is nutritious, it's not nutritious, government must come in. So it has a mandate to protect me from, because first of all, I have a right to information. So if you give me wrong information, you are bound to be sued. You get?
Sure.
Yeah, so government has all the mandate to develop regulatory frameworks for the food industry in Uganda.
Okay.
I was discussing with you, you see, Uganda, we have signed on protocols, international protocols, international agreements that are binding actually as a nation. We are a member of the WHO. Years back, WHO came up with the nutrient profiling model. For different regions in the world, they sat and said, no, the world is dying because of NCDs. The world is dying because of non-communicable diseases. So they sat, made research, and came up with a tool, a policy tool, a regulatory framework, by the way, called the nutrient profiling model. So they developed one for the Africa region called the nutrient profiling model, WHO Afro region, with the food products specifically in Africa. And they also developed for other regions, Latin America, Asia, Europe, as member organizations of as member states of the WHO. And they said, they even tested the one for the whole Afro in Uganda, meaning that Uganda we are badly off. That means that Uganda we are badly off as a country, but then also it means that we should be the first one to have this. So they said this NPM, nutrient profiling model, can be adopted as it is for a given country. But then there are certain products that in Uganda that may not be in Nigeria. There are certain products that are in South Africa but are not in Ghana. So they came up with thresholds for sugar, for sugary products, for salty products, for fatty products. With thresholds, the maximum a person should consume. So, and the products, and they put it there. For us as a government to even adopt, because it was done here, for us to just what? Adopt as it is. Or maybe modify it to include products that maybe were not what? Included in the nutrient profiling model. But government, so it is incumbent on government to say, dear Ugandans, here is the nutrient profiling model. Now, from the nutrient profiling model, we want food industry to label. The nutrient profiling model will now inform the food industry products on the market high in sugar with a warning label, not zinc 2 grams per meal. You don't even understand what that means. Sugar, then they are going to add non-sugar sweetened beverages. So there's another sugar, there's added sugar, there's total sugar, then there's non-sugar sweeteners. So you're eating a lot of sugar that you even don't know. So let them put high sukari munji. You take knowingly high in salt, high in fat. There, Ugandans will be able to make choice for the food products they consume. Then that tool, it will inform marketing restrictions of unhealthy diets to children. You see, you are on TV, these adverts run around 5 when children are back at home. They put for YouTube and a cartoon taking soda and jumping high. Now, as a child,
Of
Bambi,
course.
a vulnerable person, not even a. It says, I think I can jump like these people. I can jump like this cartoon. I can have energy like this person. And they will pester you to buy because they have the pester power. You even give them money for upkeep. Even if you don't, they will buy. And very many other policies, school feeding policies in this country, food procurement guidelines and regulations for this country will be anchored on the NPM. And all those ones are not there. Those are the frameworks that we want government, first of all, to pass, to adopt, to protect Ugandans.
Okay.
So I've listed them. Front of the park warning label, the NPM first, to inform front of the park warning labeling, marketing restrictions, school feeding policies. Students are given ketchup that we don't know what is in ketchup at school. We have even seen food poisoning in schools.
Yeah, sure.
So school feeding policies, food procurement guidelines for people in prison, for people for the public schools, for the public institutions. Those, when we have those, that and they are anchored on an evidence-based nutrient profiling model, we shall be safe as a country.
All right.
Less that, we are doomed to die.
Can we also look at organizations like CEFROHT? What role do they play?
One, we provide technical guidance to government to see that they not just give us a nutrient profiling model.
Okay.
That serves the interests of the food industry. We want to give technical guidance, to have an evidence-based nutrient profiling model that is free from the food industry. Because should it come now into the processes, that means we shall not the NPM will not serve the purpose it serves to achieve. Then, as CEFROHT, we call on we do advocacy. First of all, to call on government to pass and adopt these, because it's their mandate. It is government negligence not to have the nutrient profiling model. Then, people, the citizens of this country, as rights holders of Uganda, you are protected in the constitution as rights holders. We are going to die unknowingly. So, as the population, let us create a movement. Let us create advocacy. Let us demand government to fulfill its obligation and its mandate. Because government may not know even. It may know and keep quiet. It may not know also. So us as citizens, it is incumbent on us to push government, to demand, to create citizen agency. We are dying. When you go to the Cancer Institute, we even don't get the treatment that is needed. It is expensive to treat cancer, diabetes, hypertension. Every day we are losing young, energetic people who are very productive, and we are losing a productive resource as a country. We are losing our loved ones. Then as government, the biggest percentage of money that goes to the health budget goes to treatment of NCDs. If government just gives us the nutrient profiling model and all these complementary policies and regulatory frameworks I've talked about, now the money that has been going to treatment of NCDs that are preventable, like I've told you, just put warning labeling so that consumers can make informed choices. Those are preventable NCDs. So all this money going to the health budget to treat NCDs can be diverted to something else. Can go to buy ICU beds, can go to build another intensive care unit, can go to buy ambulances for other emergencies, but not NCDs that are manageable.
All right.
Yes.
Very interesting. It is better to prevent than to cure, indeed. So I guess we're almost coming to the end of the show. But what message do you have to the consumers. I want you to reiterate the message to the consumers who basically have interest in mostly the processed foods.
Dear consumers and citizens of this country, I will reiterate and say, minimize consuming products that are high in sugar, minimize consuming products that are high in fat, minimize consuming products that are high in salt. But you, the consumers, will only know which product is high in fat, high in sugar, high in salt, when there's a warning labeling.
Oh, true.
When there's a what? Warning labeling. But then also, dear citizens of this country, let us create a movement that demands for healthy foods through advocating for the nutrient profiling model, through advocating for evidence-based policies, evidence food policies that will prevent us from dying from non-communicable diseases. Yes, that's my message to the consumers.
Very interesting. Now, as we wind up, briefly tell us about CEFROHT once again, because someone would not have been with us at the start of the show.
Yes, CEFROHT is the Center for Food and Adequate Living Rights. We a not-for-profit organization that promotes food rights, food justice and social justice. We promote social inclusion, but also promote healthy diets. We use the law to promote healthy diets. We use legal tools, and that's why we are calling on government, and that's why we are advocating to government to see that they pass these evidence-based laws, these evidence-based policies and regulatory frameworks. So we typically use the law and the legal tools to promote healthy diets and food justice. So as I wind up, look, for this World Food Day, I said the Center for Food and Adequate Living Rights. So this World Food Day has the theme, the right to food. When we talk about the right to food, we talk about the law, we talk about the legal tools. So they saw it, the people who crafted this theme saw it that there's no food without knowing your right to adequate food, the right to adequate food for a better life. So the law, the food for a better life and a better future. Without the law, without the regulatory frameworks, without the policies, we cannot have good food, we cannot have safe food, we cannot have a better life, we cannot have a better future. So we are calling on, I want to invite you casually. We have a convening tomorrow at CEFROHT offices because we are the Center for Food. And also the public who would wish to join us in Gayaza, Wakiso, at our offices. We are having a multi-stakeholders convening on food law, nutrition and regulation. We have government there, we have civil society, we have dietitians, we have nutritionists, we have academia, we have researchers, we have the legal fraternity at this event. Come, one, you'll know your right to adequate food. What is your role as a citizen? What is your role as a media personnel in advocating for healthy diets? What is the role of government, and what role can you play to see that Ugandans have safe food, Ugandans have healthy diets, Ugandans have healthy living? So I invite you all. I invite Family TV, I invite all media practitioners, I invite all citizens of this country, I invite other policymakers to this convening. It starts at 9 and will be closing at around 2. So come, listen in, come see the safe food, come buy. We have exhibitions for safe food. Come and buy food. When did you last eat tumula? When did you last eat a cocoyam? When did you last eat good food? Come, there will be an exhibition. Buy safe food that is not sprayed with chemicals, that is not sprayed with all those synthetics we talk about.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Martin. He is the Programs Associate at CEFROHT, and we really appreciate for the wonderful insights you've given us here. So the ball is in your hands, please. Your safety matters, and that is, of course, it calls upon you knowing what to consume, and of course, being very, very responsible when it comes to the products you purchase. Make sure you read, and of course, please try as much as possible to consider the traditional gardening. You'll thank us later. Anyway, tomorrow is World Food Day, and you've heard it from Mr. Martin, and all what is required and the significance and its importance, all that. So please make sure you also celebrate that day, but by celebrating it means you are secure somehow, somewhere with your food out there. My name is Luke Majumba Alnaito. I want to appreciate you for joining us here today. We are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott in Entebbe. Have a lovely day ahead.